The 8-week metabolic reset. Thyroid reboot protocol. Carnivore Muscle PRO.
Restoring a broken carnivore metabolism. It'll be very important information I'm going to share with you guys today. Just out of the kindness of my heart in relationship to, I guess, thyroid hormones, body fat gain, body fat loss, stress, all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to cut through the noise. You've just finished a hard or deep, intensive fat loss phase. You're trying to get into the best shape of your life for a wedding, for a bodybuilding contest maybe, or simple as just looking a bit better and feeling better in a certain time frame. Now you've done all that, you look pretty ripped, but you feel like crap, and it's like seeming like you have to eat almost like nothing just gets weight maintaining your body fat level. So you could be eating next to nothing. You're eating, I don't know, steamed chicken breast with no added fat, no anything else, no carbs, nothing. You're cutting off all the extra skin, all the extra fat that might be on it, the tiniest little gram of gristle. You're eating about 2 chicken breasts a day. You can't sustain that forever, guys. Slightly aggressive approach to things, which I think is a lot better for most people, in my opinion. Now, it's basically appropriate whether you're man, female, man, woman, female, man, whatever. Anyway, it's going to apply to everyone. So whether you're old, young, male, female, got to write that time, black, white, it's the same kind of principle because you're going through underlying mechanisms, which I'll explain through today. And we'll get straight to it. So, all right, the fitness internet will tell you, oh mate, you've just reversed diet, add 5 grams of fat each day for the next 4 months. You've done the diet bit, that takes 4 months. Now you got to do the other bit, take another 4 months. That's not very fun, is it? Hands are freezing, you're getting all these sort of low thyroid, sort of stressed out sort of feeling, anxious feelings. Your morning heart rate's in the low 40s. It's just beating so slow, struggling to even think, breathe. Your dick doesn't work if you're a bloke. Your bits down there don't get moist if you're a female. Sorry for the humour. But basically you end up looking like a wrapper of butter. Creased up and horrible and saggy. And like crap. Now, like I said, fitness industry will increase 5 grams of fat very slowly. That's not what the science actually tells us. But basically, they don't understand basic cellular endocrinology. It's that slow walking food into a body running on suppressed thyroid signaling that doesn't reboot or anything. It causes catch-up fat, the bit where you do the good bit, the hard bit, then you don't look how you want to look. You kind of like sat there in like frozen hibernation, I guess you could say, leaving feeling like exactly the same, maybe softer at the same body weight. So now I'm going to give you the idiot-proof guide through all of this stuff, how to smash through that enzymatic break, getting your T3 thyroid hormones level firing again, feeling better, get your engine roaring. So here we go. Listen to this very carefully. First things first. So I'm going to give you the golden rule. I'll read this twice. Do not lower your protein. Do not slow walk your food back in. You fix a suppressed carnivore metabolism by keeping protein solid at whatever the amount is that you started at. And then you sort of maybe keep it, I don't know, even higher at some points. In that sort of state, you ruin your body by sort of trying to adjust it here and there. If you're not eating enough protein, you won't recover, you'll feel like crap, and you'll lose muscle. You want to maintain what you've built in the off season or your gaining phase throughout the whole time. So why you feel like shite? Your metabolism here is not broken. Your body is just stupid. No, it's not your body stupid. It's you that's being stupid. You're not listening to what I'm saying. Listen carefully. So, like I said, your body isn't stupid, but it's going to do exactly what evolution has programmed it to do during severe famine. So this is a similar sort of situation, I guess you could say, like fasting and low insulin levels, not much food. So like I said, do not lower your protein. Now, when you diet high on 0 carbs a month, your body doesn't really burn less fuel because you weigh less. It enters what's called adaptive thermogenesis. So this is dropping your energy expenditure by an extra, I don't know, chicken breast or a few pats of butter. And that's beyond what your weight loss can explain, basically. So think of a massive skyscraper running on backup power during a grid collapse. The building manager doesn't wait for the generator to die. The second power dips, he shuts off decorative lights, stops half the elevators, and cuts heating to empty rooms, which is fucking daft. So your body does exactly the same thing. So it's adjusting itself based on its terrain. What the body environment itself is doing in response to what is around it. Now this is where the D3 enzyme break in skeletal muscle hypothyroidism kind of begins. So you've got an exact sort of mechanism here that most coaches miss. And like, your gland is just a supplier. Your thyroid gland pumps out mostly T4, which is the inactive storage hormone. The actual workshops then convert T4 into T3, active T3, stuff that tells your cells to burn energy. That's your, I don't know, your skeletal muscle, liver and kidneys, things like that. So mitochondrial rich organelle. The D3 enzyme then has a brake pedal. So when you stay in a severe deficit, your body turns an enzyme called type 3 deiodinase on. So that is like a, I guess you could say the ultimate brake pedal. The whole job is to slow down the conversion and production of T3, and turn T4 into reverse T3, which is basically a useless decoy that just leaves the body eventually. Just byproduct, basically. Now, the next thing you've got here is the non-thyroidal illness syndrome, NTIS. So research shows that 2 out of 3 guys in an extended energy deficit show the exact same thyroid profile as patients in intensive care fighting off severe systemic illness. You know, your brain literally thinks you are dying. Now, when you finish your cut, there's a local muscle hypothyroidism. So this is where muscle D3 stays hyperactive while the liver D1, the converter, stays suppressed. Your muscle tissue is sitting in a light hype state, I guess you could say. Regardless of whether your doctor looks at a basic TSH panel is beyond me, so they might not. They might just think you're fine. So be very careful when it comes to the blood panels. You need to be very precise. You know, don't just leave it by chance. And make sure everything is fully covered and understood. Now, if you try to reverse diet by adding tiny crumbs of food back in, like 10 grams chicken each day for, I don't know, a month, your hypothyroidism issue is not going to fix. It's not going to create more heat energy, basically, or muscle glycogen, or ATP, anything like that. Your fat cells, however, which don't rely on this DI pathway, they'll actually happily soak them up. That's how you end up so like soft, smooth looking, kind of saggy, like you just had a baby and all the loose skin's there, sort of thing. You don't look great. Now, this is what the big carnivore mistake is. Too much lean, not enough fat. It's very data specific. Now, this is where a lot of people that go onto a carnivore diet mess up on a cut. So to get shredded, you do end up having to eat leaner meats and more protein basically over time. That's what I'd say 2 main features of a get shredded diet is. Look up mass balance model. I'll also link that below. So to get shredded, you're going to be eating leaner meats. So think chicken breast, lean ground beef, egg whites, pure isolate protein powders, things like that. Now, this is where something quite interesting happens. So your thyroid actually gets trapped in the gutter effectively. So protein takes a massive metabolic effort to actually digest. Up to about 30% of the energy in the protein itself is burnt off by your liver, and digested and processed. Diet-induced thermogenesis, that's called. It's doing the heavy lifting for a sluggish gut and a suppressed liver, basically. So pure animal fat is low effort, high voltage fuel. It's pure animal fat, you know, it kind of makes sense. So it takes almost zero digestional effort, so maybe 0 to 2% of the energy within fat actually gets used to turn it into fuel. And it's in, you know, things like, I don't know, rich animal meats. I think a ribeye versus a lean fillet. I think chicken thighs rather than chicken breast, that sort of thing. Now, what then happens then is we're trying to keep your protein locked in at the same amount. So in this example, I'm going to use 260 grams of protein. And that's to make sure you protect every single ounce of muscle you put on prior to the dieting phase itself. So what you're then going to do here is look carefully at the math. Math's not my strong point sometimes, but here we go, still learning. So basically measure food in grams or daily macros, ideally both, because then you know exactly what contains what. There might be some differential between one brand and the other in terms of their idea of what a lean meat is, so be quite careful there. Now, this is your exact 8-week roadmap to step out of starvation mode without blowing up like a balloon. So think mindfully about what I'm saying, try and take notes if you can. You've got a dieting baseline, which was where you're very low in energy. You're feeling like crap, you're not eating much. This one's going to be, in this example, 260 grams of protein, 10 grams of carbs through eggs and maybe dairy, and 50 grams of fat, so next to nothing. This person's probably eating just pure chicken breast, near enough. So the total daily macro mass of that diet is 320 grams. The problem is 81% of that diet itself is high effort, high extreme thermic effect sort of foods, the protein. So you're going to lose a lot of energy to actually make use of that in terms of doing new things in the body and creating new cells. What you have to do is fill in that gap. So that gap actually comes from fat. So keep the protein the same, keep the carbs the same, but increase the fat. So you might actually make initially out of the gate a 100 gram jump in fat. So you've gone from 50 grams of fat to 150 grams of fat. This will turn on certain enzymes in the body, and it gives the body a big insulin hit. Now, insulin is actually your friend in this position. Insulin is an anabolic hormone. It stuffs stuff in cells, and basically will trigger some sort of degree of the Randall cycle. That's inflammatory. But sometimes you need these inflammatory conditions in the body to actually turn certain and increase the conversion of T4 to T3. And there's hard science, hard literature to support that claim. So basically, eat more food is the key there. So you're doing that initially out the gate by quite a significant jump. Now, phase 2, what you're going to be doing here, so this might be a few weeks down the line, maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks down the line. Still, protein's the same, carbs still the same, so 260 protein, 10 grams of carbs. Your fat, 240 grams. You increased it by a further 90 grams. Your diet was containing 420 grams of mass. And currently, it's now containing 510. So you're increasing the insulinogenic factor of the food you're eating. It sends a signal to the brain to say, I'm fed. There's something gone in. Let's now shuttle electrolytes around the body. Let's start to feel better. Nutrition that we're taking in. Excess protein being taken in. So now the fat can actually do its job to supply the body with nutrition that the body does need. Now, to put this on your plate, this is a zero brain power example. What we're doing here is not overcomplicate it at all. You don't need to chew through, 3 pounds of dry, rubbery meat. What you need to stop doing and what you need to start doing are two totally different things. So, out of the gate, weeks 1 to 2, increase fat by maybe 2, maybe 3 times. So again, 50 to 150 in that example. That might be too much for some people, depends what your body is at the time, how lean you got, how stressed out your body is. Then what you need to be doing is focusing on the same kind of meats, just a fattier version. So rather than egg whites, you're going to be having the whole egg. Rather than be having a fatty steak. That's all you're basically doing. If you can't meet it that way, add some butter if you tolerate it and like it. I love butter, it's good, it tastes nice. Very yummy. Buttery eggs. Yeah, so no more throwing away egg yolks, guys, you're still eating those. Next phase, increase it again by maybe a similar sort of jump to the first time. So 50 to 150 and 150 to 240. So that's going to make sure you really start to pack on muscle glycogen again if you've depleted some over time. What you'll notice there is your metabolism over time will be in a much better state. You do have to give the body a kick at the start. Doing it slowly is not more beneficial, and the science has proven that time and time again. In logic would say, you dump a load of food in when you're in a depleted state, you gain all this fat. No, your body will use it while that mitochondria is spinning on an overdrive, trying to keep things moving. Your body's in a perfect prime state to utilize more food. So it's going to give the body the right signals, the insulin signal. It's going to increase your body weight as well, which is closely correlated with insulin. Your heart rate will go back to normal if it's been going very slow and sluggish. It'll start to feel a bit warmer as well as your thyroid begins to upregulate over time. Now that can take any amount of time. It could take 2 weeks. There is literature to support the idea that something like 2 to 4 weeks is significant enough for most people to see a drastic improvement. First, ignoring the bathroom scales the first 2 weeks. It will jump up by 2 to 3 kilograms anyway, so don't worry about that. It's just what we call intracellular water, the stuff that you've been depleted of because you've been in a low insulinogenic state. Next one is a waking body temperature, oral temperature the second you wake up, basically. Straight out of bed, you'll sort of want a reading, look and see if there's a reading below 36.4 degrees Celsius. That proves your cellular energy is being suppressed. So you want to be closer, I'd say more towards 96.5 to maybe, or 36.5 to maybe 37. So below 36.4, not great. Above 36.5, better. And that's a good indicator, at least in my opinion, that you can do at home anytime you like, as long as you've got a thermometer. Your resting heart rate will also pick up again, 5 to 10 beats per minute, which is processing more food. It's a stress to the body. So, it makes sense that your body's going to respond with a catecholamine response to upregulate energy production as you breathe more. Your respiration rate becomes faster, therefore, you're able to turn more energy and oxidize it to create carbons to fuel the electron transport chain within the mitochondria, with powerhouse of the cell. So, more food coming in, more sort of efficiency. Your body's ready to take it in and let out more thyroid hormone, which bring up your basal metabolic rate. Then you can do the blood test again, see where it's at. And hopefully you enjoyed that video, guys. Let me know what you thought. Sorry if I'm rambling a bit, but it's a very long topic. Hopefully it's been useful. Anyway, take care. I'll see you guys on the next one. I live with a condition called CRPS, which is the most painful condition known to man, and also suffer with autism and chronic fatigue syndrome. I've been having a hard time recently. I'm reaching out for help. If anyone is able to support me, it'd be much appreciated. and it is for a Give Send Go link, which I'll link below this video. Thanks very much.